Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the What Goes on Tour vodcast. We're in Cardiff for the final test match of the Springboks 2025 season against Wales at the Principality Stadium on Saturday. And during the course of the vodcast series, we've caught up with past players from the countries we're visiting, members of the Springbok management team, referees. And today we have two members of the Springbok coaching staff, Deon Davids and Duane Vermeulen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. This is a conversation about your lives in rugby. And Deon, I know that rugby passion burns deep in your family. You have to have a passion for the game to do what you do and make the sacrifices you make. So where did this passion for rugby start for Deon Davids?
This passion for me, Matt, started way back as a young boy growing up in a rural town like Bedaarsdorp. I had a crazy family of uncles that loved rugby, loved sport, and we had this big backyard. All the family gathered together around the radio. We're sitting at the back, listening to Gerard over here and the people commentating on games, getting up early in the morning, listening to boxing matches and those things. So yeah, it was just a natural flow of learning rugby from my dad and from my uncles who played the game, and then also from the local community, and then from what we heard on radio, and then just a natural development from there into your primary school years, and then going up into high school and into university.
And as you played the game, did you always have this thought in the back of your mind that you wanted to turn your hand to coaching one day?
You know, to be honest, my journey goes back a long way, but as a young boy, I think I still remember playing in the backyard where you had this idea in the back of your mind of one day maybe playing for the Springboks. But obviously in those years growing up as a result of the political situation in our country and being a rural boy, I sort of put that on the back burner and said, listen, it's impossible. It will never happen. Who will see me? Who will do that? But I can remember one day playing there, thinking about, listen, if I can't play for them one day, then maybe I can coach them one day eventually. But yeah, as life has taken me through on a different journey, I completely forgot about that until eventually I get involved through my profession and in my playing days, and the way life have shaped me. I got back into this, or was reminded of this dream, and that took me on this journey.
So it is very much a dream come true. Duane Vermeulen, you weren't allowed to dream about becoming a coach because you kind of started becoming a coach while you were still playing.
Yeah, Matt, it's interesting. I can't really talk about the 60s, but yeah, you know, I had a good chat in 2023 with my wife, and I actually thought I never had or don't have the opportunity to go to the World Cup in 23. So we kind of, in a way, gave up on it and said, let's finish this as a family, and we step away completely from the game, and you know, see where life takes us. We had a couple of things lined up, what we wanted to do, and then Rossi said, no, we've got a plan for you. And then, you know, stayed in the mix a little bit, and then from there on, yeah, got pulled into the squad and into the coaching staff. So yeah, from player straight to coach, and that transition was well, it's been pretty easy and comfortable. I think last year was obviously my first year, but you kind of get used to it.
Well, we've had some private chats where you said that actually the plan was, after a man of the match performance in the 2019 Rugby World Cup final,
yeah,
you thought that might be it.
Yeah, well, I chatted to Francois back then, and Beast was also one of the guys who retired, and he said no, he's gonna finish up, and I said, oh, Flo, maybe we do it together. And as we obviously we sat in a big circle after 2019, and Beast got up and he said, listen, I'm done, thank you. This was my last game, and went down the line, and Francois stood up and he said, guys, that's also me. I'm done. And as I got up, Rassie said, no, yeah, said yeah, Neda. And I thought, okay, so my journey is probably not done yet.
Deon, when you were coaching in the provincial structures, you were always acknowledged as a coach that could perform sometimes close to miracles with limited resources. So transitioning into the national setup, working with a generation of Springbok forwards like you get to do now, how special has that been for you?
No, it's a massive privilege. As you mentioned, I was always used to starting from scratch and having to put in all the hard yards to develop players, develop teams until we become competitive, and then suddenly getting this opportunity to come into such an environment with so many experience and so many quality players was a dream come true. But it was also a challenging environment, and when I got in, I remember Russ told me when I was appointed, listen, you're going to coach lineouts, and me being a head coach for so many years, it was also a way for me to adapt and to start learning from scratch, and that was part of my growth, being and where I give a lot of credit for him for allowing me to grow into it, to try things, to make mistakes. And I've also then in that period just learned about the importance of as part of team sport is to buy into and to listen to other people in terms of because everything it's about what is the best for the Springboks going forward. And I was privileged to work with guys like Duane and Lewitt and even all these guys that have been there for quite some time, that have a lot of caps, and we've, as I said, we grew from each other. We learned so many things from each other, shared ideas, shared what was happening in the past, me sharing things that I saw, which I think from the last World Cup that they played in 2019, where I saw where we can within the system made some improvements and develop things. And it became a good coach-player relationship, sharing ideas to make Springbok rugby better, and I've enjoyed it. I'm a big believer of lifelong learning, and part of that is to be open to learn and to listen, and in terms of what you know and what you can learn from other people, and that makes it a dynamic environment and a quite enjoyable environment.
Duane, how tough has it been, this transition, given that you are playing a role as part of management and the coaching staff with players who you've shared World Cup victories with? Is it tough?
But yeah, I think, like I said, last year was probably a really tough transition, because you sit in the coaches meetings, and in the beginning I was just the buffer between the players and the coaches, and no specific role as of yet in the beginning, and then later on we kind of developed it and say, listen, okay, you're doing the breakdown, and then Deon had a lot of things to do in the line-out. You've got the attacking line-outs, you've got the line-out defence, and there's a hell of a lot of clips for him to work through. And then Racy said, okay, let's share that responsibility, and I took over the defensive lineouts, because when I was playing, I was also running it with the likes of Eben and our four locks. So it's a nice thing for me to work with Deon and alongside Deon, and obviously you learn quite a lot by working with the coaches. But yeah, I think the first year was pretty difficult, but this year, in the beginning of the year, Racy actually sat down with us and he said, Duane, listen, you're a coach, so don't worry about anything. If you say we got to do this, that's what we're going to do. And because you've analysed and you've worked through all the clips, and you know exactly what the opposition does on attack or on defence. So yeah, I think this year it's been a much smoother journey, if I can say that.
Deon, one of the themes since winning the 2023 Rugby World Cup has been this ability to build depth across all positions while still maintaining a really positive winning record. Only 2 defeats in 2023, 2 defeats in 2020, I beg your pardon, in 2024, and then 2025 as well. And part of that is the learning of the players off each other, this live mauling, the live scrumming that we see mostly on a Wednesday during a test match week. It's extraordinary to witness.
Yeah, for us, it was, from a line-out perspective, and I think also in the other departments, it becomes sometimes quite a challenging environment because yes, you want to win a test, you want to be the best, but we also understand in the bigger picture we need to develop depth and we need to grow our game. And obviously, we've if you look back at the selections of our teams, we as a result of many reasons, we had different hookers coming in. We had different locks. We had at the time all our locks in the squad, and then red cards happens, or injury happen, and you got to change. And lineouts is always about, it's about timing. It's about building relationships and partnerships between each other, like in scrums. And so it takes time. But I mean, the exposure of those players under pressure in those circumstances gave us an idea in terms of, listen, where we are with what we want to achieve and where the players are in terms of where they fit into the whole system. And I think it was quite an important year for us to see that and to prep as well as we can with despite all of those challenges and things that was thrown to us. It was a growth experience for us as coaches, and I think also for the players. And what helped a lot is, and what is encouraging, is how the players, despite of the fact that there is competition, is that they are willing to assist each other and to learn from each other. And that makes a huge difference because the players are there, they experience it, they would know, you understand, how they've handled it, and the openness from the players that start and the players that are not selected, being able to help each other, that must give you an idea of the culture of the team and how we see and care for each other in terms of what we want to bring to the team.
But also fair to say that opponents have got a lot wiser when it comes to maul defence. And I remember a point where Rassie was saying we have to take decisions out of the referee's hands. We've got to become more multifaceted and not just rely on the scrum and the maul. And that's been a key focus of these last 2 years, and successfully so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a conversation that we had last year, and we knew that, listen, okay, mauling previously won us World Cups. It was a big strength of us. It will still stay a big cornerstone of our game. But in order for that to work, we have to look at other ideas in terms of how to manipulate the defense. And that is where what we call the special plays develop around mauling to make it effective. And obviously, I mean, we in an environment, me and Duane shares ideas. We learn from the locks in terms of how they see things. We see things on YouTube or on social media in terms of what schools and other coaches and people are doing. Players play at different clubs. So it's good to have this open, honest conversations and discussions, you understand, where we can share and understand it. Listen, we think for this specific match, this is something that fits our attack, or it fits our defense, and it's quite interesting to see how it develops and how it gets used.
Duane, I want to come back to something you said in your previous answer. You said Rassie sat down with you and he said you are a coach. But anybody like us who have the privilege of attending a lot of Springbok training sessions, the message hasn't quite got through completely, because your knees are strapped. You're there to be lifted. You haven't quite said goodbye yet, have you?
Matt, if Deon tells me, listen, we need an extra guy, I'm available. I've gained a couple of kilograms, but yeah, well, they need to work hard in the gym to lift the guys. So if they can lift Ergia, they can still probably lift me. But yeah, well, like today, you know, we don't have enough numbers, and they needed a guy at lock on the other side of you know, the opposition, and yeah, I'll gladly raise my hand and join in, and you know, scrum. So I love playing up with the forwards, and this is such a special group of guys. So you know, whenever you're in there, you can give live feedback, not just well, as a player, but also as a coach in that similar situation, and when you're next to the guy. So
dare I ask, have you ever officially deregistered as a professional rugby player?
Not with the medical side of world rugby, no.
You talk about this generation of Springbok forwards. We've just seen 3 Springbok forwards nominated for the World Rugby Player of the Year award, 3 out of 4. And then another forward included in the World Rugby Dream 15 for the year, along with 2 backline players. I know individual accolades are not really that important to this environment, but how proud are you as a coaching group of what these guys have achieved?
Matt, I think the big thing is it says a lot about the team and the environment for those guys also to perform and to play at their best. And if you play at your best, sometimes there's still individual accolades that comes through. And but you never play this game just for yourself. It's a team sport. Otherwise, you could have gone and played tennis or chess or whatever. And then it's all about the individual. But it's a team sport, and if a couple of guys stand out and they make get all the accolades, that is something special, and it shows what this team means for the individual, and also the individual means to the team. So it's a good combination, and I think it's in the World 15 team. We've got our front row, which were outstanding this season, and 2024. So it shows that the guys, it doesn't just come down to scrum or mauling or stuff. It's all the soft touches, the individual skills, the understanding of the game, and that all filters down from coaching staff, from management, even our physios, the play involvement, everything. This machine's got runs on everything, and everyone adding a little bit of input to the core, so that, like Rassie said, so that we can all eat out of the pot at the end of the day.
And Deon, it's fair to say that on this November tour, there have been a number of extraordinary examples of team ahead of self.
No, definitely. We see how hard these players are working, how humble they are, as I said previously, how they assist and help each other. And it's fantastic for us to see if a guy gets rewarded for his performance on the field, because we are looking at different things, not just in our departments, but in terms of players' contribution all over, in every game and in every training session. And it's great to see that our players get acknowledged and rewarded for that. And it's also good to see how happy they are for each other whenever someone achieves.
But the plans you've had to make in adverse conditions on this tour, and Sia having to come off at half time to serve the team, and the rejigging that had to be done against Italy, it just speaks to team ahead of everything else.
Yeah, that was I mean, especially the game against Italy, for me personally, was a very encouraging moment in terms of, and I told the players afterwards, when I came down from halftime, we as coaches to the coaches box, guys like Luat and RG and Kwacha and those guys that were on the bench and wasn't involved were already making plans in terms of, listen, how are we going to adapt with the current situation that we were on field. Now I'm coming down with my plans, having or thought about stuff. They were already addressing some of the same things and even better suggestions in terms of what's going to happen. And I stood there and I thought, but listen, this is how it's supposed to be. People taking ownership, the things that we talk about, people needs to be aligned. There's no ego involved. It's all about the team and to the best of what we need to be done now in order for the team to succeed. That for me was sort of encapsulate and summarized what this team and this environment is about, and how we support each other.
Duane, just one test left in 2025 against Wales here in Cardiff. Already a successful season with away wins against New Zealand, against France, against Ireland, and just those 2 defeats on the journey. But both last year and this, over 50 players used. So really working towards that goal of maintaining winning and successful standards, but creating depth. How much more work is there to do, looking slightly ahead into next year?
Man, it might be 51 this coming weekend. Like you said, I'm still available. No, I'm making a joke about it, but we've used, like you said, we've used quite a number of players, and see if they can fit into the system. some guys really put up their hand and they stick in the system, and you know, some guys you'll see that comes in, get a couple of opportunities and then kind of fade away. But we, you know, the thing with us is you don't want the perfect player. You want the best player that can fit into our game plan and the way and the style like we want to play. And you know, there's a hell of a lot of talented players back in South Africa, but might not be the right player for what we're looking for. But you know, if we can go on this trend and you know, seeing youngsters, under 21 guys, under 20 guys coming through the system, I think there was a couple of changes back in South Africa with our junior setup, and if you see those guys really producing and really doing well, that's a good stream of youngsters coming through. And I think this year, or it started last year, but I think this year we really got it right, and hopefully we can look to the future with a lot of guys coming through the system and a lot of talent. So really looking forward to the journey that lies ahead.
Well, it's been tremendously exciting being on that journey so far. Deon, Duane, thank you both very much for your time, and thank you at home for your continued participation in the What Goes on Tour vodcast. It's been wonderful bringing you these insights from the Springboks November tour. Just one game to go against Wales in Cardiff, when we'll wrap it all up for the 2025 season.